My topic is on the origins and the consequences of environmental agents to and my name is Sarah Yin. So I'm a rising senior at Seoul International School in South Korea, and some of my extracurricular activities involve Envision, which is a youth environmental organization that I founded in 2020, where we address a lot of environmental issues management or air pollution, and I've also been part of the varsity volleyball team at my school, and I'm also continuing my research at the Garcia summer program this summer, and my past research has involved the effects of gene amplification on brain cancer and also the effects of environmental toxins like arsenic that are prevalent in contaminated drinking water and crops that humans consume and its effect on human health. And my interests are in biology and also public health with a focus on environmental health. So this is a brief overview of my presentation, which I will begin with the introduction and then move on to cancer and its carcinogens, and also talk about the solutions, regulations, and the key takeaways. So first, my topic will be on the interactions between environmental agents and cancer development, and its purpose is to make sure that the audience or the people better understand and propose feasible solutions that will be able to minimize the health-related challenges that harmful environmental agents pose to humans. And I felt like this topic was important to present to the conference today because when we think about the term environmental pollution, we tend to only think about plastic waste or deforestation or something related to trees, but I wanted to shed light on the lesser known environmental factors that are also associated with the damage and the huge risk involved in human health. So a short background information. Environmental carcinogens, which is a substance, organism, or agent in our surroundings that are going to be capable of causing or facilitating progression. And according to the National Cancer Institute, we see that the environmental factors are linked to an estimated 80 to 90% of all cancer cases worldwide. And some examples of what environmental carcinogens can be or how we can be exposed to them are through chemicals like asbestos, benzene, benzidine, cadmium, nickel, arsenic, radon, and so on in the workplace especially and industrial factories, and these can all cause cancer. So firstly, cancer is the change or damage to DNA, or in other words, the uncontrolled division of abnormal cells. They will grow even when they don't receive signals, and they will ignore such signals that tell them to stop dividing, and they can also hide and trick the immune system in order to grow in the most ideal environments. Currently, there are more than 100 types of cancer that are known worldwide, and we can also categorize them into malignant and benign tumors, where malignant are the cancerous cells where they can also spread to other parts through a process called metastasis, and benign tumors, which are not cancerous but also have the potential to turn cancerous, but as its name says, it does not spread to other parts of the body yet. And the major causes of cancer, as we all know, can be from tobacco products, infectious agents, alcohol, UV radiation, and environmental carcinogens, which I will be talking about today. So before moving on to what specific environmental carcinogens there are, the process of carcinogenesis is also an important concept to understand. So carcinogenesis can be divided into 3 steps conceptually, which is tumor initiation, promotion, and progression. So in the initiation stage, genotoxic carcinogens will create a cell with abnormal DNA, and then promoters will stimulate the replication of these neoplastic cells and try to facilitate the tumor development. In the last stage, the progression stage, genetic and phenotypic changes will occur where there will be a rapid increase in the tumor size, and also further mutations among cells with invasive metastatic potential will also increase. So one very prominent and notorious environmental carcinogen that is known is called aflatoxins. Toxins produced by the fungi found on agricultural crops like maize, which is corn, peanuts, and tree nuts. Examples of such fungi are Aspergillus flavus and Aspergillus parasiticus. And people are exposed to such aflatoxins, firstly when they can consume contaminated plants or meat and dairy products from animals that consume such contaminated feed. They can also be exposed to aflatoxins when farmers or just people are inhaling the dusts that are generated during the processing of the crops, and this will specifically lead to the increased risk of liver cancer. Then we have metals. There are a lot of different types of metals that have the potential to be carcinogenic, nephrotoxic, phytotoxic, and teratogenic on people. One metal is arsenic, which is especially found in the consumption of drinking water, mining and copper smelting, herbicides, insecticides, and pesticides, and they can be responsible for a variety of types of cancers like skin, lung, bladder, kidney, and liver cancers. Then we have beryllium compounds, which is responsible for many cases in lung cancer, and they can be found in X-ray tubes, nuclear weapons, burning of coal, and fuel oil. And other metals are lead acetate, lead phosphate, chromium compounds, nickel, and etc. Another very prominent carcinogen is fibers, fine particles, and dusts. So one example of this is the asbestos fibers, which are released into the environment by roofing, thermal and electrical insulation, cement pipe and sheet plastic, tactile paper products, etc. And they are going to be responsible for the occupational cancer, many of the occupational cancer cases that were found. And talk about ceramic fibers, which are used as alternative to asbestos, which also, despite being used as an alternative, they can also be responsible for many cases in certain experimental animals. Then we have silica dust and wood dust, which is also used in industrial settings like coal mines, mills, sandblasting, and also furniture manufacturing. So with all of these environmental carcinogens, there are some solutions and regulations that are imposed currently. Many experts say that we have to stay active, especially just exercising for at least 30 minutes per day. And also, since many of the environmental carcinogens or the lesser known carcinogens occur in an industrial setting, it is important to also ensure that there is some sort of ventilation of room or atmosphere in the industrial setting. And also, wearing appropriate masks or following safe work practices will be an appropriate solution. And also, we can inquire at the workplace about the material safety data sheets, also known as the MSDSs, which will provide more information on the harms and the toxins involved in the surrounding environment that you're working in. And currently, public health officials are also establishing limitations to exposure levels to environmental agents. So some key takeaways are that the environmental exposures are a driving force in the initiation of tumor development and progression. And some of the examples that I talked about were the aflatoxins, metals, pesticides, fibers, dust particles, etc. But it's also important that different people respond to carcinogens differently. So just because you were exposed to some sort of carcinogen or environmental carcinogen, it does not mean everyone will have or face the same effects. In fact, many different factors will influence whether a person exposed to a carcinogen will develop that cancer or not. And some of those different factors involve the amount and duration of the exposure, and also the individual's genetic background. Here are my references, and I would like to thank the Global Health Leaders Conference at Johns Hopkins University for having me here today, and also my Environmental Vision organization team for also always helping me with environmental issues and researching topics. Here's my email address, and please if you have any questions, and thank you for listening.